only for minorities from these three countries, religious minorities from these three countries, that time frame of 11 years has been made into 5 years. And which means since the cutoff date is 2014, anyone who claims that he or she came before 2014 has already spent more than 5 years here. So which basically means that at one go, they can get mass citizenship. So basically, on Monday, the rules of the Citizenship Amendment Act were notified, which means that the act is implemented now. And with the notification, the manner in which people can go about applying for citizenship was also, conveyed by the government, and even the documents required are not extensive. So it seems to be aimed at getting as many eligible people, which means uh, people belonging to minority communities from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan to apply for it so as to expedite their citizenship in India on grounds of religious persecution that they faced in those three countries. So that process has kickstarted now. It was said by Amit Shah that it would be done before the polls, and it has started now. Efforts have been made by the government to send out the message that the intent behind CAA is to grant citizenship to persecuted people belonging to minority communities in these three countries. They have made it very clear that the intent is not to deprive anyone from citizenship or to exclude anyone from Indian citizenship. So repeatedly, Home Minister Amit Shah has said it, others have said it, even Anurag Thakur, the Information and Broadcasting Minister, has said it. PIB messages have said it over and over again over the last 2 days that no Indian citizen, irrespective of his or her religion, of their religion, should be apprehensive about the CAA because it has got nothing to do with them. So the present framing of the CAA is justice to persecuted minorities from these three countries, which means non-Muslims who have crossed over into India and are staying illegally, for several years in many cases. The cutoff date is 2014, December 31st, which means if you came to India illegally before that date, you'll be granted citizenship, or rather, citizenship will be expedited for in your case, and you'll get it in 5 years instead of 11. So that is what is being said. So there is a sense of the government making India a haven, a safe haven for persecuted, largely Hindus or even Sikhs coming from these three countries. Technically speaking, it includes Christians, Parsis, Buddhists, but the likelihood of most such people being Hindus or in some cases Sikh is far more. So that is a promise that has been made. That is the framing right now. Since Monday, when this happened, there has been not a single mention of the NRC by the government. Now, there were massive protests against the CAA in 2019, beginning 2019 towards the end of 2019, and going on almost till the lockdown happened when the first wave of the pandemic came. The nerve center of the protest was Shaheen Bagh in Delhi, but there was similar smaller protests in many parts of Delhi or even in India. So at that time, the reason why the CAA sparked off massive protests was that the Home Minister made a statement in which he said that there's a chronology to how things would unfold, and the CAA would come first, followed by an NRC, which would in that case mean a nationwide National Register of Citizens. The narrative went that if you were non-Muslim, the CAA would come as a shield. But if you were Muslim, you might end up being stateless or maybe told to quit India, go outside, or sent into detention centers if no other country is willing to accept you. That fear was only partially warranted because that, the treatment of Muslims and non-Muslims being different would happen only when you came originally, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, or Bangladesh, which basically means that if you are a Bengali speaking person, or if you are a Punjabi speaking person, or you are a Sindhi speaking person, then if you were a Hindu, you could claim that, look, I was persecuted, I came here, I don't have many documents. If you were a Muslim, you could not claim that. But a nationwide NRC, if it were to verify documents to see who is a citizen and who is not, what would a Hindu from, say, Tamil Nadu do? What would a Hindu from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana do? It's very difficult for a Hindu called, I don't know, called Senthil to say that I came from Sindh, right? Because it does not add up at all. Linguistically, you can be made out. You can be made out by your cultural habits. So even there, if there were to be a nationwide NRC, many people could technically face harassment, not just Muslims, but in many parts of India, those non-Muslims who could not claim to be Bengali or Punjabi or Sindhi, right? So that actually set the cat among the pigeons. Illegally cross over into India from anywhere in the world. There are people who illegally cross over to many countries across the world. It happens throughout the West also, maybe on a greater scale than it happens in India. There's a provision already in the Citizenship Act that you can apply for being considered a naturalized citizen after 11 years, if you can prove that you came 11 years ago. But then that is the call of the government, right? There's no guarantee. If you are staying illegally, sometimes you might also face action. But there's a provision for anyone who's not a citizen from any part of the world to apply for being an Indian citizen after 11 years of residence in India. In the case of CAA, only for minorities from these three countries, religious minorities from these three countries, that time frame of 11 years has been made into 5 years. And which means since the cutoff date is 2014, anyone who claims that he or she came before 2014 has already spent more than 5 years here. So, which basically means that at one go, they can get mass citizenship. But the course correction began towards the end of 2019 itself. The Prime Minister in December 2019 actually said on record that we are not talking about any NRC. We have not brought any bill in parliament. We have not brought any proposal to the cabinet. There are no rules or procedures that have been talked about. So where is this rumor about NRC coming from? And he said that this is a canard. And he also said that, look, in this very winter session of Parliament 2019, we have also set the ball rolling to provide people houses, irrespective of their caste or religious community. And then he said that if we are providing you houses, will we ask you tomorrow to vacate those houses and throw you out of the country? And he said, "Kya bachcho wali baatein kar rahe ho? Are you talking like kids?" So that course correction began in December 2019 itself. And that time also the PIB did post that there is no proposal for the NRC that has been talked about till now. This time, the very mention of the NRC is absent. So the delinking basically means that now the framing of the CAA is that it is only about a slight humanitarian tilt towards largely Hindu, and maybe a few Sikh refugees from Pakistan, or maybe Hindu refugees from Bangladesh, or maybe Hindu or Sikh refugees, if there are any, from Afghanistan. In that sense, India presents itself as a safe haven, holding responsibility for Hindus and Sikhs, or even technically Buddhists or Christians or Parsis, who may be in these three neighboring countries, which are Muslim majority countries. It has now delinked the CAA entirely from any talk of a nationwide NRC that could one, harass people in many parts of India in the absence of documents that they can verify, and two, that could create apprehensions in the minds of, say, Muslims in Delhi. That a Muslim in Hindu, that a Hindu in Delhi who's from Punjabi origin could say, "I came from Pakistan," Mr. Chopra or Mr. Malhotra. But the same Muslim in Delhi, if she were to say that I don't have documents because I came from Pakistan, the CAA would not be a shield. So that apprehension, if at all they existed in the minds of Muslims in Delhi or in Haryana or maybe in Bengal or Assam, they have tried to allay it. Assam, the NRC exercise was completed, in 2000. It was fully completed in 2019. All the revised lists and everything had come out, and a large chunk of people happened to be left out of it. I am forgetting the exact number right now, but it's a significant number of people. In terms of percentage, it's not a significant number, but in terms of sheer numbers, many people could not prove that they were citizens of India having legitimate documents. This included some Hindus also, by the way. And this, as news reports came, there was also someone who had been in the army and could not prove it. So, in that large, when the data are too large, documents might be in a condition that is not too good. It is always possible that the document may not pass muster. So that was the situation of the NRC in Assam. Not a foolproof exercise at all, but yeah, it was a major exercise that was conducted on the instructions, on the orders of the court. Right, that was a judicial, instruction. They wanted the NRC. The majority of the society in Assam, the Assamese society, wanted the NRC because in Assam, every successive census was showing one an increase in the Muslim population, which was perhaps because the increase was significant. It was perhaps because of people coming in from Bangladesh. But in the case of Assamese society, it was not essentially a Hindu-Muslim matter. The concern ever since the days of the ASU agitation in the 1980s, where Assam was literally burning, the major concern in those days used to be that this is Assam which has got a particular Assamese culture, right? And their Assamese culture, there's an Assamese culture or Assamese cultures, whatever, but which are very specific to Assam. The more there's a dilution of the Assamese in terms of population, as a part of the entire mix of population in the state, they felt that Assamese cultures were suffering and maybe their livelihood opportunities were also suffering. So it was a cultural as well as a material sense of hurt that somehow informed Assamese society at a mass level. So they wanted an NRC so that people who had come, if they had come after 1971, they would want them perhaps even deported back to Bangladesh if possible. They did not want them to be part of the Assamese society because the fear there is that someday Assam will lose its uh, the nature of being Assamese. It will become Bengali.